In the vast expanse of the universe, where stars burn with secrets untold, humanity had long sought company among the stars. It was during the Terran year 2437, aboard the starship Endeavour, that humanity's search met with success in a most unexpected fashion. Commander John Reed paced the bridge, a space decorated with holographic displays and the soft hum of technology. His crew, seasoned experts in their respective fields, manned their stations with a mixture of routine ease and anticipatory tension. They were approaching an uncharted system on the outer edges of the Milky Way, where sensors had detected anomalous energy readings typical of advanced civilizations. "Approach with caution," Reed instructed. "We don't know what we're walking into." As the Endeavour drew closer, the source of the readings became apparent. A shimmering, translucent object suspended in the vacuum, reflecting the starlight like a prism. It was unlike anything human technology could fashion. "Prepare for contact protocol and keep our weapon systems on standby," Reed ordered, his voice calm yet firm. The crew obeyed, and the ship inched closer to the anomaly. Suddenly, the air crackled with energy, and a beam of light shot from the object, enveloping the ship in a blinding glow. Reed braced for impact, but instead of the expected chaos, a figure materialized on the bridge. She was slender, with iridescent skin that shimmered with every movement, eyes vast and dark as the void, and her presence was both unsettling and mesmerizing. "Greetings, Terrans," she spoke, her voice melodic yet carrying an undercurrent of undeniable authority. "I am Nira, of the Zelvaran, bound by my people's ancient code to surrender to those who discover our sanctuary." The crew stood in stunned silence, processing the implications of her words. Reed was the first to regain his composure. "What do you mean by surrender?" he asked, his voice steady despite the surreal encounter. Nira stepped forward, her gaze locked onto Reed's. "It is our way. The first to uncover our refuge becomes the keeper of our knowledge, our abilities, and our allegiance. I am yours to command, as are all my powers." Reed exchanged a glance with his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Chen, who looked equally bewildered. This was beyond their training. First contact protocols certainly hadn't prepared them for an offer of surrender from a supposedly advanced species. "Let's talk, Nira. We need to understand more about your people and why you have this tradition," Reed decided, signaling for her to follow him to the conference room. Nira nodded gracefully and followed, her steps silent and almost floating. The door slid shut behind them, leaving the crew to murmur among themselves about the unprecedented situation. Inside the conference room, Reed began the delicate task of diplomacy with an alien whose motives and culture were a mystery. Nira explained that her people were observers of the universe, gathering knowledge and avoiding conflict. Their surrender was not out of fear but a form of cultural exchange, an integral part of their society for millennia. "As your technology reached the capability to detect us, it was predetermined that we would meet," Nira said. "My submission is not just personal. It's a gift of knowledge and a bridge between our worlds." Reed listened, his mind racing with the possibilities and responsibilities. "And if we were to refuse?" he asked, the question hanging heavily in the air. Nira's smile was tinged with sadness. "To refuse is to deny our essence. It would be unprecedented." The weight of her statement settled over Reed. This was more than a diplomatic mission, it was a custodial one. He realized that humanity was not just encountering a new species, but potentially adopting an ancient custodian of cosmic wisdom. As they continued to talk, Reed knew that the decisions made here could reshape the future of human interaction with the universe. And somewhere deep inside, he felt the stirrings of a desire to understand this mysterious being who now looked to him for guidance. Nira's revelation that evening shifted the dynamics aboard the Endeavour. The crew, initially wary, began to see her not just as an alien, but as a repository of advanced knowledge that could leapfrog human technology by centuries. Commander Reed found himself in uncharted territory, balancing his duties as a commander with the responsibilities of his new role as Nira's custodian. In the days that followed, Reed arranged for Nira to share her knowledge with the ship's scientists and engineers. Her understanding of quantum mechanics, energy manipulation, and dimensional theory was profound, bordering on the magical to human comprehension. The scientists were particularly fascinated by her ability to interact with and manipulate energy fields, a technique she referred to as essence control. Meanwhile, Reed noticed that Naira seemed to be studying him as much as they were studying her. She observed his interactions with the crew, his decision-making process, and his downtime habits. Her presence became a constant in his daily routine, and he found her company increasingly indispensable. One afternoon, in the quiet solitude of the ship's observatory, Naira approached Reed as he gazed out at the star-studded void. The stars cast a kaleidoscope of colors over her face, highlighting the ethereal quality of her features. "You carry a great burden, Commander," she said softly, her voice blending with the hum of the ship. "The weight of many lives and now, the future of 2 species." Reed sighed, his gaze not leaving the viewport. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm the right person for this." Naira's hand reached out, stopping just short of touching his. "You were chosen by the cosmos, not by chance. Your actions have already spoken of your worth." The intimacy of the moment caught Reed off guard. He turned to face her, struck by her serene confidence. "Why me, though? Why not approach Earth directly?" Reed asked, the question that had been gnawing at him. Naira looked out into space, her eyes reflecting the cosmos. "Our methods are different from yours. We believe in personal connection, in understanding through interaction. You, Commander Reed, showed potential for both respect and responsibility." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call from the bridge. A nearby system had emitted a distress signal, and the Endeavor was the closest ship capable of responding. Reed's decision was immediate and decisive. "We'll answer the call. Prepare the ship." As they moved toward the bridge, Naira's expression shifted subtly. "This will be a test of our new alliance," she murmured, more to herself than to Reed. Upon reaching the bridge, the crew was already in action, plotting a course to the distressed system. The source of the signal was a mining colony under attack by space pirates, a common threat on the fringes of human-explored space. Reed took his place at the command station, his demeanor calm and focused. "Naira, can your abilities help us here?" he asked, glancing her way. "Yes, but I will need to be on the surface," she replied, her voice steady. Without hesitation, Reed arranged for both of them to join the rapid response team heading to the colony. As they suited up, Reed felt the crew's eyes on him, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity. The dropship descended towards the colony, the atmosphere crackling with the tension of the impending confrontation. Naira sat beside Reed, her usual serene demeanor replaced by a focused intensity. "Whatever happens down there," Reed said, turning to her, "we do this together." Naira nodded, her eyes locking onto his. "Together." As the dropship's doors opened, revealing the chaos of the besieged colony below, Reed and Naira stepped out into the fray, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by a bond that was quickly becoming as deep as it was unlikely. The dropship's engines howled as it touched down amidst the turmoil of the besieged mining colony. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid stench of burning metal. Reed and Naira, leading a contingent of armed security personnel, moved swiftly towards the main administrative building where the colonists were making their last stand. As they approached, a group of space pirates launched a coordinated assault. Blaster fire screamed across the barren landscape, pitting the ground with molten fury. Reed and his team returned fire with disciplined bursts, their training evident in their movements. Naira, however, remained still for a moment, her eyes closed, her hands extended as if feeling the very fabric of the air around her. Suddenly, the area around several pirates distorted, shimmering like a mirage. The pirates stumbled, disoriented, their shots veering wildly off target. This gave Reed and his team the opening they needed to push forward, capturing several pirates and scattering the rest. Once inside the administrative building, they found dozens of colonists huddled together, fear and relief etched on their faces. Reed quickly coordinated with the colony's security team to fortify their defenses and treat the injured. Naira, meanwhile, moved among the colonists, her presence soothing. She placed her hands on the wounded, and a soft glow emanated from her fingertips, easing their pain and accelerating the healing process. The colonists watched in awe, their initial apprehension giving way to whispered gratitude. Reed watched her, impressed by her abilities and her calm amid chaos. "How did you do that back there with the pirates?" he asked as they regrouped to assess the situation. "It's a form of sensory manipulation," Nera explained. "I can alter perceptions temporarily, confuse the enemy. It's not harmful but very effective in disorienting them." "That could be invaluable," Reed mused, thinking of the application such abilities could have beyond the battlefield. Their strategy session was interrupted by a new alarm. The pirates were regrouping for another attack, this time with heavier artillery. Reed glanced at Naira, who nodded in understanding. Together, they devised a plan. Naira would use her abilities to create a large-scale sensory distortion, making it appear as if the colony had additional defensive capabilities. Meanwhile, Reed and his team would launch a counteroffensive using the element of surprise to their advantage. As the pirate forces began their assault, Naira's powers washed over the battlefield, the air filled with the sounds of phantom ships and ghostly reinforcements, confusing the pirates. Reed led his team out from their cover, striking hard and fast. Caught off guard, the pirate morale shattered, and they retreated in disarray. After securing the area and ensuring the pirates wouldn't return, Reed and Naira stood on the outskirts of the colony, looking out over the now peaceful settlement. The colonists were emerging from their shelter, their faces brightening with hope as they began to repair and rebuild. Naira turned to Reed. "This alliance, it's more than just about sharing knowledge or power," she said thoughtfully. "It's about building something greater from our combined strengths." Reed nodded, feeling the weight and truth of her words. "We have much to learn from each other, Naira, and together, I believe we can face whatever comes our way." As the sun set over the colony, casting long shadows across the ground, Reed felt a profound sense of purpose. With Naira by his side, he was ready to navigate the complexities of this new relationship, not just for the benefit of humanity or the Zelvaran, but for the potential of a united future in the cosmos. Back aboard the Endeavor, the atmosphere had shifted palpably. News of their victory and the miraculous interventions orchestrated by Naira spread through the ship like wildfire, sparking a mix of awe and optimism among the crew. In the wake of their success, Reed organized a series of briefings and collaborative sessions, aiming to integrate Naira's knowledge more deeply with human technology. In one such session, held within the labyrinth of engineering decks, Naira stood beside Chief Engineer Simone Duval, surrounded by holographic schematics and pulsing energy matrices. They were deep in discussion over the ship's core reactor, a marvel of human ingenuity, yet primitive in comparison to the potential Naira described. "If we adjust the flux parameters here," Naira suggested, pointing to a node that flickered with quantum instability, "and introduce a non-Newtonian flow pattern, you can increase efficiency by several orders of magnitude." Duval, a veteran in her field, followed Naira's instructions with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. "And the risk of cascade failure?" Naira's fingers danced through the hologram, recalibrating the energy flow with deft precision. "My people developed algorithms to predict and mitigate such risks," she explained. "I can teach your systems to do the same." As they worked, Reed watched, his mind racing with the implications. Every tweak Naira made seemed to turn the impossible into possible, pushing the boundaries of their scientific understanding. Later, as the Endeavor continued its patrol through the sector, an encrypted signal was intercepted by the communications team. It was a distress call, encoded in a cipher that resisted their standard decryption techniques. Naira, upon hearing of the challenge, offered her assistance. Within minutes of her joining the communications team at their station, the cipher yielded its secrets. The message revealed a civilian research vessel, the Aurora, trapped in a collapsing wormhole nearby. Reed assembled his rescue team, this time with Naira as a key strategist. The Endeavor altered course, cutting through the star-strewn darkness toward the coordinates provided in the distress call. As they neared the wormhole, the reality of the situation set in. The Aurora was visible, its hull strained against the gravitational forces tearing at the fabric of space around it. Time was of the essence. "Standard procedures won't work here," Reed acknowledged, turning to Naira. "We need something unconventional." Naira assessed the wormhole's fluctuating parameters and then interfaced with the ship's navigation systems. "I can stabilize the passage, but only briefly. You'll have to be precise." Under her guidance, the Endeavor navigated the treacherous approach. Naira's presence seemed to calm the chaotic energies of the wormhole, her connection with the ship's systems deepening as they moved closer to the Aurora. With only a narrow window for success, Reed coordinated with the helm and engineering teams, executing a daring maneuver that brought them within reach of the beleaguered vessel. Rescue teams, led by Lieutenant Chen, worked feverishly to evacuate the Aurora's crew. Every second counted as Naira maintained her concentration, her energy visibly waning as she fought to hold the wormhole stable. Just as the last of the Aurora's crew were brought aboard the Endeavor, alarms blared. "The wormhole is collapsing!" one of the officers shouted. Reed gave the order, and the Endeavor pulled away, just as the wormhole snapped shut behind them, the shockwave buffeting the ship but leaving it unscathed. In the aftermath, the crew of the Aurora were tended to, their expressions a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. Reed met with Naira in the observation deck, where they watched the space where the wormhole had once existed. "You saved those people, Naira. Not just your powers, but your willingness to push through your limits," Reed said, his voice filled with deep respect. Naira looked back at him, her eyes tired yet resolute. "It's not just my duty, but my choice. To help, to protect, it's what I wish to bring to this alliance." As they stood together, looking out into the infinite, Reed felt the vast potential of their combined futures. With Naira's abilities and her people's knowledge and humanity's indomitable spirit, the cosmos seemed not just a place to explore, but a realm to nurture and protect. The days following the rescue of the Aurora were filled with a frenetic burst of activity on the Endeavor. The integration of Naira's alien technology had begun to yield results that were nothing short of revolutionary. However, with great power came great scrutiny. The United Earth Space Command, intrigued and somewhat alarmed by the reports of Naira's capabilities and their implications, decided to send a delegation to the Endeavor to see these developments firsthand. Admiral Sylvia Hayes, a figure known both for her strategic acumen and her political savvy, led the delegation. Her arrival on the ship was met with the requisite military pomp, but her eyes were searching, taking in every detail, every change that Naira had influenced. Reed greeted the Admiral with due respect and introduced Naira. The initial exchanges were cordial, yet beneath the pleasantries, there was an undeniable current of tension. Hayes was straightforward in her approach. "I've read the reports, Commander Reed. Your accounts of Miss Naira's contributions are impressive. However, we need to understand the broader implications of her presence and her technology on this ship and beyond." Reed nodded, prepared for this. "Admiral, I believe the benefits far outweigh the concerns. Naira has not only enhanced our technological capabilities, but has also provided us with diplomatic and strategic advantages." The meetings that followed were intense, with demonstrations of the upgraded systems and discussions on the tactical applications of Naira's abilities. Naira herself remained composed, answering questions and occasionally demonstrating her control over energy fields and other phenomena, which left the delegation visibly impressed and somewhat unsettled. In a closed session with just Reed, Hayes, and Naira, the Admiral voiced her deeper concerns. "Commander, while I see the potential here, I also see risks. How do we control something we barely understand? What if other powers seek to exploit Naira or her technology?" Naira responded before Reed could. "Admiral, I am here by choice. My allegiance is to those who seek knowledge and peace. If my presence becomes a threat to your people, I will leave. But know this, I am bound by my ethics to do no harm." Hayes weighed her words carefully. "And if we decide to continue this partnership, how do we frame it? How do we explain this to the planetary governments, to the people?" Reed and Naira exchanged a look. "Transparency," Reed suggested. "We tell them about the benefits and the safeguards we'll put in place. We show them how this alliance could lead us into a new era of prosperity and security." The Admiral nodded slowly, her mind ticking through the political ramifications. Very well. I'll take your recommendations back to command. But be ready for scrutiny. Intense scrutiny. This isn't just about technology or tactics. It's about the future direction of humanity. As the delegation prepared to depart, Reed walked with Naira along the corridors of the Endeavor. "Do you think they'll agree to continue?" he asked, concern lacing his tone. Naira smiled slightly, her confidence unshaken. "They will see the possibilities as you did. Change is often feared but also inevitable, and I believe they will choose to embrace it." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert from the bridge. An unknown vessel had appeared on the edge of the system, its origins and intentions unclear. The Endeavor was the first responder once again. As they returned to the bridge, Reed took his place, his crew ready at their stations. "Let's find out who our new guests are," he said, his voice calm but firm. Naira stood beside him, her presence reassuring. As the Endeavor approached the mysterious vessel, they prepared to face whatever this new encounter might bring. Their alliance now not only tested by internal deliberations but the ever-present unknowns of the vast cosmos. As the Endeavor drew closer to the unidentified vessel, its silhouette became more distinct against the backdrop of stars. It was unlike any design familiar to the United Earth Space Command, sleek, almost organic in shape, with surfaces that seemed to shimmer and shift subtly, as if reflecting some unseen light. The crew on the bridge tensed, aware that this encounter could pivot quickly from curiosity to threat. Commander Reed directed the communications officer to hail the vessel. The silence that followed was tense, the only sounds the soft beeps of the ship's systems and the distant hum of the engine. Finally, the comm crackled to life, and a voice, smooth and modulated, responded in perfect standard. "Greetings, Endeavor. We are aware of your alliance with the Zelvaran. We seek dialogue, not conflict." Naira, standing beside Reed, stiffened at the mention of her people. Her eyes narrowed slightly, a hint of caution in her usually serene demeanor. "They are from the Maltharic domain," she whispered to Reed. "A civilization of scholars and archivists, but not always peaceful." Reed nodded, absorbing the information. "We welcome dialogue," he replied formally. "What is the purpose of your visit?" The Maltharic envoy's response was direct. "We have observed the integration of Zelvaran knowledge within your fleet. We propose a trade, our archival technologies in exchange for insights into Zelvaran energetics." Reed looked to Naira, seeking her counsel. She considered for a moment before nodding. "Their technology could greatly benefit your archival and knowledge preservation efforts. However, we must ensure that the trade is equitable and secure." Arrangements were made for a meeting aboard the Endeavor, under strict security protocols. The Maltharic delegation arrived, their appearance as unique as their ship. Tall beings with luminescent skin that pulsed with a soft light, their movements graceful and measured. The discussions took place in the ship's conference room, transformed for the occasion into a neutral space of diplomacy. Naira and Reed presented a united front, both keenly aware of the stakes involved. The Maltharic were meticulous, their questions probing, not just about technology but about the philosophy and ethics behind its use. As the negotiations progressed, Reed felt the shift in the room. The Maltharic were not merely interested in technology. They were assessing the strategic depth of their newfound relationship with humanity and the Zelvaran. This was about more than just archives. It was about positioning in the broader galaxy. The talks concluded with a preliminary agreement. The Maltharic would provide humanity with an advanced archival system, capable of storing vast amounts of data with extraordinary efficiency and stability. In return, they would receive a limited insight into Zelvaran energetics, under strict supervision, and for peaceful applications only. As the Maltharic envoy departed, Naira turned to Reed. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Others will come, drawn by what we have achieved here." Reed acknowledged this with a nod. "And we'll be ready. Together, we'll navigate these waters, whatever they may bring." In the quiet aftermath of the departure, Reed and Naira stood side by side on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The cosmos lay open before them, vast and filled with infinite possibilities. They had faced many challenges, and would face many more. but for now they stood together, a testament to the potential of unity in the face of the unknown, their alliance a beacon in the dark, guiding the way forward.